This week's video is brought to you by my upcoming manga, Amaranth Angels. In a future where humanity is expanding into space, Sai Nishizawa is a starfighter pilot prodigy, flying alongside her big sister and their close friend. However, following a sudden tragedy, Saya only wants to run as far from a cockpit as she can. Fate, however, has other ideas. You can read the entire prologue, which details the events leading up to Saya's decision, on Webtoons now, and you can subscribe to my Patreon to read ahead and get access to exclusive updates. If you enjoy Girls on Panzer, Lycoris Recoil, and the military moe genre in general, you'll love this too. Now, on to the video. If you ask a fan of Lycoris Recoil what the best aspect of the show is, you could bet that a lot of them, if not most of them, will say something like the characters. And while yes, the characters are all just so much fun to watch, both due to them being so well written and extremely well voice acted, there's more to it than that. Not only are each of the major characters really well portrayed and fun to watch on their own, they're even better when they're together. So it's not just that the characters are great in this show, but the way they interact with each other just does so much to elevate the show beyond its raw premise and into something truly wonderful. To be more specific, Lycoris Recoil's main heroic characters, the LycoReco gang, are really just a perfect example of the found family trope. Honestly, one of the best, if not the best, that I've seen in any piece of media, anime or otherwise. But before we get into why that's the case, we should take a quick look at what exactly the found family trope is, for anyone who isn't already aware. Since, while I feel like it's brought up on a fairly regular basis, it doesn't usually get explained. Also, here's a quick spoiler warning for Lycoris Recoil, as I'll definitely need to at least touch on some spoilery stuff from the show. So the found family, as I see it, is when you have a group of varied characters that aren't related, but come together to form a very close, family-like bond. It's different from just a group of friends or comrades at arms, though it's not so easy to denote exactly where the dividing lines are a lot of the time. But you can often tell if a group of characters truly feels like a family. It's easier to do so if the nature of their relationships allows some or all of the members of the found family to really slot into different roles. Moving back to Lycoris Recoil, the roles of many members of the LycoReco family stand out. Mika is obviously the dad, and Kurumi is the somewhat annoying little sister. Mizuki is most often classified as the mom role or an aunt, a wine aunt, of the group, although most of the time she really comes off to me more as a much older sister or cousin. And of course, Chisato and Takina are the two kids in between Kurumi and Mizuki. It's not just the individual character personalities that give them these roles and form the LycoReco found family though. What really makes the found family dynamic in this show stand out and work really well is that they all, well, interact like a real, healthy family might. On the one hand, every member of that family is there for each other when things get real and people need help. Whether that help involves putting themselves in danger, doing something illegal, or even killing someone they once cared about to protect that family. But at the same time, they also enjoy messing with each other while things are chill around the cafe. Whether it's Kurumi just absolutely roasting Mizuki, Mizuki bonking her in retaliation, Mizuki trolling Chisato, or Takina firing a hairband at Chisato to test her reflexes. It's just great, and most importantly, it feels completely natural, based on the well-defined personalities of each character. It really does seem like these characters grew up together, instead of just meeting more recently. Very recently in some cases. I think anyone who's grown up with siblings could definitely relate. A common pitfall I see in fiction when there's an attempt at creating a found family dynamic is that, despite attempts to make it look like one, it doesn't actually feel like a family. Often that's just down to the writing between the members of the group, just not feeling natural enough to make us believe that's really the case. Other times, though, the found family dynamic fails because it starts to feel more like a harem than, well, a family. That's one of the issues I have with the rising of the S.H.I.E.L.D. hero as it went on. Of course, that isn't to say that there can't be romance between members of a found family, or that fans can ship characters together. The members of a found family aren't related after all. The legions of Chisato Takina shippers out there make that abundantly clear, and as we see in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which also has a very strong found family dynamic that works well, there's a romance between Gamora and Peter Quill. It's one of those things that's not so easy to put into words, but when you see the LycoReco crew interact, it just gives off strong family vibes, just by how they talk to each other and their little non-verbal interactions, like Kurumi being a bit of a brat with a sharp tongue at everybody else's expense and getting bonked by somebody for her trouble, or Mika just calmly trying to maintain some sort of order in his cafe. Something that also makes this found family work so well is that none of the characters are defined by it, meaning that it's not beaten over our heads that any of them desperately needed this family, though they all did for varying reasons. We're also not really directly told that this is a family, apart from a few small moments, mostly between Mika and Chisato. You also get the pairings you sort of see a lot of the time among siblings. That all comes out organically, which siblings spend more time with each other and interact more. Chisato and Takina's chemistry together is one of the main selling points of the show, and that needs no introduction. But Mizuki and Kurumi have such a natural odd couple dynamic. Man, I feel old for even just making that reference. That anyone seeing their scenes, just blind, could be fooled into thinking that they're actual siblings. Their bickering is just so much fun, and while they could be a bit savage with each other, you can tell that there isn't really any actual animosity there. The scene where all the girls are conspiring to find out who Mika is meeting and preparing to go out and stalk him particularly highlights this. It's just got such a don't let dad find out what we're up to feel to it, and you know Mika's at least a little suspicious. And speaking of Mika, and his brief scene with Chisato in the bar following the aforementioned spy mission is genuinely touching. He, quite literally, sees her as his daughter, and she sees him as her father. It's really just that simple. Mika wouldn't go to all these lengths for someone he didn't truly see as family. And of course, it deserves mention again that despite their bickering and trolling of each other, when the chips are down, everyone would give their all for each other. From Takina going full-on John Wick in defense of Chisato, to Kurumi finally figuring out the truth about Chisato's heart, and jumping back into action with Mizuki to save her. Again, it really does come down to just how well these characters are written, and how well they're voice acted to make all this work. Their dynamic is natural and earnest, without feeling forced, and without becoming a joke. All the humor between them comes naturally from their different personalities. When it's downtime, they do enjoy spending time together, and messing with each other like I've already mentioned, but when any of the family is threatened, the rest will immediately leap into action, doing literally whatever it takes to save them. While Chisato is the singular heart of Lycoris Recoil, no pun intended, the LycoReco family is the emotional core that really holds the show together. It's one of the main reasons why this show has stuck with so many fans and didn't fall into the trap of becoming just another action girl show. Because while the action is awesome and all, that isn't the central aspect of this show. The central aspect of it is this small family of silly, but extremely competent misfits. I mean, they even go on a family vacation at the end of the season. And while I'm interested in seeing where this story might go in general, whenever the next Lycoris Recoil animation project is, honestly, I'd be more than happy with just another hour or two of just slice-of-lifey moments featuring these 5. How about you?
Aloha.
If you enjoyed this video and would like to support me and what I do here, check out the links to my books and light novels below in the description. A link to my Patreon is down there as well. I've been sharing awesome updates, including completed pages and art in progress from my upcoming manga Amaranth Angels there, and there are other rewards too. You can also read the entire prologue for free over on Webtoons. Additionally, I've got some cool merch over on TeePublic with hopefully more coming soon. And as always, if you have any thoughts on this video or there's anything Lycoris Recoil related you'd like me to talk about, definitely share them below in the comments. I'd love to hear them, and I do my best to read, and then eventually respond to all the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. That's all for now, so until next time.